Hey, what is going on, you beautiful people? It is I, Kyle Craft with Craft Consulting, and I am here to help coaches be able to create the fastest path to get their ideal clients activated, converted into a sales call, and collect as much cash as possible in 24 to 48 hours. This is what I do better than anyone else. I will prove it to you. So what I want to do right now on this video, if you stick around, is I'm going to show you the 3 things that I changed when I took over a new account 2 months ago, 60 days ago, that got us on track for doing $85,000 cash collected. And now we're on track to hit 100K this month. And it was just these 3 simple changes with a very small team and a simple high ticket offer. All right, just one offer. So if you stick around, I'm going to go through that next. So little background is I took on this account. It's not something I had normally done, but I did it because I knew that we could make these small changes and really get these guys going where they want to go. But for them to do that, right, there's a couple of things you have to have in place for something like this to work. Number one, you have to have lead flow, right? There has to be some sort of marketing effort, either through organic or paid strategies that are bringing people into your ecosystem where they know about you a little bit, they know the results that you can get them, and it shows them who they need to be for you to actually be able to work with them, right? Are they a business owner doing X amount of revenue? They have this specific type of problem, right? You kind of got to get the permission to play basics out of the way. But if you have that, right, and on the other side of things, you have to have a fulfillment team or a delivery side of the business that actually takes care of solving the problem that we're in the business of solving. Because if you sell something and you don't solve that problem, you're a scam artist. You deserve to not have your business grow at all. So those 2 things are kind of permission to play. Just wanted to throw that out there. Now, if you want to stick around for the good stuff, here's what we did. All right. So from where they were, okay, they were at a 14% closing rate. Really not ideal, right? Like, as if you're spending however much you are per lead, right? And then you get those leads booked into a triage call, and then from a triage call, you get them booked into a sales call for show up rates and all the effort that you're going through, plus paying commissions out to sales reps and setters, all that stuff. If you're closing at 14%, you're losing money, right? On the flip side of that, if you can get this right, if you can understand what really goes into driving a team's performance, driving them so that they're eager, hungry, and taking action every single day on getting those prospects booked in, having them see sort of the program in a custom way of how it solves their particular problems and gets those people step by step to commit to solving those problems, you can have a massive influx of cash, massive influx of clients, and a huge impact on the world while maintaining your freedom from the business without kind of getting sucked into doing everything yourself. So if that sounds like you guys, here is what I would say that you want to pay attention to. What we did for this team, number one, is we established what I call just a daily focus huddle, and it's a meeting cadence that allows us to meet every single day and be able to focus on some key elements that not everybody does, but I have found over time sustainably allows that sales team to gain momentum. All right. So the first thing that we focus on in these daily meetings is going to be culture. Now, this depends, of course, on the culture you want to cultivate in the organization that you lead. But for us, what it really meant is it boils down to we want to have a culture of self-reliance, right? Where every salesperson knew they could rely on themselves, that no matter what happened outside of them, that they were going to be able to take action and hit the goals that they set for themselves. So that's the first part of the culture. And we would address that by going through a few different things. Number one is we would touch on what are we grateful for every day? What is it that we're all fighting for? Like in our personal lives, what do we want to achieve? And then how does hitting the company goals align with that? It's a huge one, right? Because sales is such a volume game. You know, it doesn't have to be if you have a high skill set and you can really help a lot of people, but still it's kind of like the mail. You're always needing to sell if you want a business to sustain and grow. So without if you're not crystal clear for those sales reps on exactly how their personal goals will be fulfilled by hitting company goals, it gets confusing for them. And they're less likely to take the actions they need every single day to be able to hit those goals. So you want to keep that top of mind. You want to have it fresh. You want to be able to make sure that it's really clear to them how they can succeed both professionally and personally. So that's culture, all right? The second thing is we always focus on KPIs, also known as key performance indicators. Whenever I heard this years and years ago before I got into business, I was like, this is the most boring stuff ever. But the truth is, KPIs are your business, right? If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business, because those numbers tell a story. And the story being told is how good are we at getting the right people into our ecosystem, activated in terms of them understanding what problem they have and how we can solve it, and can we drive them to commitment through the convictions we hold about about our ability to solve their problems. And so the KPIs are the way that we tell that story. And the KPIs essentially are just going to be the numbers based on every metric of the steps in the process that you take them from cold to sold. So if I'm a stranger and then I become a client, what are the steps in between and what are the numbers associated with every one of those steps? That allows for us to kind of divide those up in the front of the sales process, right? This is where the setting team would be accountable, and on the back side of things where the closing team would be accountable. And so it makes it really easy for us to sort of divide and conquer and understand who's responsible for what. So if something is not in the green, right, if our metrics are starting to drop below what we consider reasonable, then we have someone to go to that we can either work on skill sets or focus on, maybe it's a belief. Who knows what that thing is, right? We would have to sort of diagnose that first. But it gives us clear understanding as to where in the process is the biggest constraint that holds us back from actually hitting our goals. And so what's cool about it is you actually don't have to be smart. You can just sort of look at your process and be like, okay, green, 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 all these KPIs are in the green. Oh, this one's yellow or this one's red. Let's go ahead and address that today, because if we can fix that one thing, typically you can bring in a ton more sales without changing anything else. So we always focus on the culture, and then we start getting specific into those KPIs, right? We review those KPIs, and as just a little added benefit here, how I view those KPIs on Mondays, what we do is we look at the previous week as a whole, right? And we say, okay, this is where we said we were going to be. Here's where we ended up. And then we do a team reflection, right? What worked, what didn't work, what's within our control that we can absolutely just knock it out of the park this week, or what was a successful action we took that we can just triple down on this week to continue getting the results that we want. The other piece to that then is then on Fridays, we do another reflection, right? So what did we say we were going to do this week? Did it go our way? Did it not go our way? So we're always going around sort of what worked, what didn't work, what are we reflecting? And it's not me as a sales manager that's actually doing that. What I'm doing is I'm having the sales reps, based on where they are in the KPIs, talk about their own numbers and their own projections and the other things that they can do to create opportunity and close deals, right? So when you give the team sort of the ability to shape the culture, you give them the ability to own those KPIs, and you give them the ability to own what they're going to do about it, it becomes a very autonomous group. It becomes a group that is, as if you're a big fan of leadership stuff, I don't know if you know Jocko Willink, but it's that decentralized command, right? It gives you the ability to have everyone be empowered to make their own decisions on what they think is right, as long as we're seeing the numbers go in the right direction. Or if they need help, they can ask, and we're right there to support them, okay? So those are the things that we do. Then daily, right? So we know we do kind of like a weekly reflection, but also daily. So every day that we start the meeting, we're going to look at those KPIs in terms of what did we project for yesterday, what was the actual results that we got, and what are our reflections on that in terms of what worked, what didn't work, right? Again, it's all about giving the reps the ability to become self-aware. The worst thing in the world on sales teams that I've seen that just struggle all the time is like the sales managers trying to do everything for them or hop into all their calls, right? And like Captain Save a Deal sort of thing. And it never works, because the sales reps inevitably are being communicated to, we don't trust you to do your job, right? What we want is a culture of people who are trusted to do their job, and they're going to continue to claw and scratch and climb the mountain of success because of their own reasons to get there, versus, oh, I didn't hit my numbers, but Mr. Sales Manager is going to hop in and save the day again for me. That's not at all what we want. That's not sustainable, and it's only going to hurt you down the road. Plus, if you do that too long, what ends up happening is sales reps get burned out because they feel like they're just not good at what they do, and nobody is going to want to continue to do something they don't feel that they're good at, right? So in terms of being able to really empower the team, create this autonomous, or rather a decentralized command style culture, that's how I approach really addressing both KPIs, projections, actual results, and what we can do to make changes to continue to get those results, double those results, or if we didn't hit it, what lessons did we learn and what changes are we going to make, right? And that's the team bringing those forward. From there, the other thing that I'll say is we should have a little bit of time left at the end of every meeting, and that's where we can simply focus on tightening things up. So maybe there are touch points in your sales process. We want to make sure every rep is using the same sort of touch points. They have access to all the right nurture content for leads, that they have the proper titles on the bookings of their calendar events, right? All those little details, because again, sales inevitably is sort of like a volume game, like the mail. It's easy for sometimes those reps to let the details kind of slip. And so my job, or if you're a sales manager, your job is to really maintain the standards of the details that matter most, that represent your brand, that are putting the front-facing view to your prospects so that they understand, hey, these guys are buttoned up, they're detailed, and this is how they're going to take care of me when somebody comes into my program, okay? So that's really the daily meetings. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing that I implemented with this team, okay, are daily coaching calls. So, and I've gotten a lot of sort of riff back on this because in this day and age, it sort of has this sort of feeling like, okay, if you're a coach or if you're going to work with a team, like if I'm working with this team, a lot of coaches don't like taking a lot of calls, right? They want to have their freedom and their time back. But in the sales world, this is something you do, not something you did, right? Training, like if I want to get into shape, I'm going to go train, but if I want to maintain that fitness, I got to keep training, right? Sales is no different because it's skill-based, okay? And the market changes based on how saturated certain things or tactics are used. And so you have to constantly be learning to be able to understand, okay, if the market is seeing this and now they don't want to continue because they feel like it's just a sales environment, how are we going to communicate to them that we're not just here to sell them, but we're actually here to help them achieve their goals, right? And so having daily meetings where you're able to really focus on different aspects of skill sets and process and scripting and structure and really help the sales team understand the philosophy behind what we're doing, as well as the very specific tactics of how to implement it every day, immersing them into that over and over and over, getting repetition. As Tony Robbins says, repetition is the mother of all skill. So being able to get with these guys every single day for an hour. Now, some companies may not be for that, right? Maybe you're a company that's saying, Kyle, I want my sales guys selling all day long, right? And I get that, okay? What I will say, though, is I'm a big fan of being prepared and over-prepared at that. And so I love the Abraham Lincoln quote, right? Give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, and I'm going to spend the first 5 sharpening the axe. So that's kind of my philosophy. And if you don't agree with that, that's fine. But taking 1 hour a day, 4% out of a 24-hour day, okay, to immerse a rep in understanding what's working right now, the specific language of how to deliver what they need at certain points of a call, and how to understand what they're getting from their prospects in terms of either their desires, their interests, their values, their objections, and how to speak to them in a way that gets them to see the light so that you can get them converted into the program and collect cash and impact that client's life forever. To me, that seems like a really important thing. So what we enacted was Monday through Friday, we have a call for an hour. And it touches on different things at different days, right? So one of the days is scripting review, because oftentimes, you can write a sales script. Any monkey can write a sales script, but it's the ability to listen to the specific pain points of your market and then continuously have a loop where you're refining that script, bringing those things in. And what happens is when you have a script that has been market tested like that, when you get on a call with somebody and you're asking extremely specific questions using keywords that only your market knows, all of a sudden they assume your authority. All of a sudden they understand you know what you're talking about because you have precision with your language, which shows them, hey, this guy's been here, done that, and if he understands my problem better than I do and has a solution, I might want to listen to what they say. He could be perceived as an advisor here, right? And that's what we want. We want your prospects to see you as the trusted guide on their journey to solve their problems. So that's a big one. We do scripting and offer review. There's objection handling a couple days a week where we can get in there and we review their calls live, right? Which is really important because if you're just doing role play, and I'm a big fan of role play, don't get me wrong, but when you just role play, the problem is everybody wins, right? You can always win the role play. You don't always win the sales call. So it's good because often when we feel like we're losing on sales calls, things change than we would in a safer environment like a role play session, for example. Maybe our motive shifts on accident and we start selling versus helping, right? Maybe we forget the words to say and we start flubbering our words, right? Or maybe we start shouting and talking really fast. And the thing is, most people in a sales environment that don't have hundreds of hours of experience, they don't even realize that they're making these changes. So getting live calls to review and being able to just dive through that and really see what's happening where the rubber meets the road, like game tape, like after a football game, those are the things that I found personally get someone to get it the fastest because they're seeing how they are. You can give them very specific feedback. Hey, you did this. Here's why it didn't work. Here's what I want you to do. Here's how it will work. And now we're going to practice implementing it through a role play. That's what I find makes changes the quickest. I mean, in 60 days with this whole team, we went from 14% close to 50%, right? Just imagine that's 3.5xing the ROI on the same marketing spend and the same delivery system. And now they have 350% more cash, more clients, and more closes in the same time period than they did the 2 months prior. So that's why those things are so important, okay? The last thing I'll say then, the last change we made rather, is I implemented one-to-one support calls. So I can't tell you how challenging sales is. I mean, I sat in this seat doing sales for 8 years, high ticket coaching offers between, from 1,500 to 3K to 5K to 10K to 20, 24, 30, 42, and 100, and then 120K offers sold, closed, signed, and delivered, right? And it's a grind. Like, it can be a grind. I mean, sales, I keep using that analogy, but it's like the mail because it does never stop. And one of the things that happens is salespeople, because they're so driven, and they feel like that no matter what happens, if they just put their shoulder down and continue to work harder, they're going to get there. Well, what happens is sometimes they don't get there, and they start creating a narrative about themselves. They start talking to themselves poorly. And if you don't have sort of a space in the calendar for them to go and be able to vent about what's happening for them, about how it's impacting their life, about maybe they're showing up and their numbers don't reflect the fact that their partner left them, right? Or that they're absolutely broke and they need to make this sale, right? Like, these things need a space for that humanity, for that humanization of the sales rep, because it's so easy to look at sales reps and setters like just cogs in the wheel, right? Like one body is as warm as the next. It's absolutely not true. What I have personally found is that when you spend time with people and you truly start to learn about what they want most in life, what their big goals are, what their big challenges are, what is hurting them right now, right? How they are dealing with the rejection of getting no's on sales calls or losing deals, or God forbid a client, closed and then they want a refund for whatever reason. That stuff can really play mind tricks on the sales and reps and setters. So you want to have a space for them to connect, okay? Now, that's one part of the one-to-one, all right? So you want to have that sort of personal connection with your team. You want them to feel safe in sharing with you. And then you also got to be a good enough leader where you've been able to take care of yourself enough that you can also help take care of them, right? Give them tools and tactics to sort of deal with those things, get them back on track, realigned and on purpose, so that now they can go and continue taking action, all right? But the other side of this now is going to be what the company needs, right? So if you look at the one-to-one, we're really balancing the needs between the person, okay, but then also the company's goals, all right? And that's kind of like the two prongs that I look at. So the other way that I do this, because when I sat in the sales seat, the worst feeling I ever had is when my manager would just be like, well, show me how you're spending your time. I felt like I wasn't trusted. I felt like they were micromanaging me, which they were, right? And it created this feeling where I was disincentivized. I did not want to do more. And I was good and I was making great money, and I knew I was like uncapped in how much I could make, but it made me feel like I didn't want to do more because the money wasn't even worth it, because they were treating me like someone who they didn't trust. And that doesn't feel good for anybody. So what I found is the best way that I want to manage reps, right, which is how I would want to be managed, is you start with trust and giving the benefit of the doubt, okay? But there's a very specific sequence I go through that does this, that allows, again, that sales rep to be in control of themselves. I never want to be someone who's telling you what to do. I want you to come up with the answers. I want you to come up with your own goals. Like, it's your life. Be in control of it, okay? I can be a support mechanism, and that's kind of the structure that I want. So the first thing we always cover is going to be results, okay? So, for example, Gary, imagine just a fake name, right? Hey, Gary, today let's go ahead and then look at the results we've gotten. And by the way, typically these one-to-one meetings are bi-weekly, okay? So we would look at these over the last 14 days. All right, so Gary, over the last 14 days, you had projected 6 closes, right? Bringing in this much cash. And right now, I want to see what we got. So let's say Gary's at 4, okay? Now we know, Gary, awesome, your goal was 6, you hit 4. Now I'm going to give him space to talk about that, okay? He's going to tell me all his stories. He's going to tell me all his reasons why, right? Because humans, emotionally things happen and then we justify with logic. So he's going to tell me all that, and I'm going to listen to him and say, okay, but now I want to take a look at, since the results weren't what we were hoping, right? We were just shy. We were at 4, we wanted 6. Now the next place I want to look in sequence is going to be your pipeline. So the pipeline is going to show me, okay, Did he have enough opportunities? Did he have enough qualified opportunities? Did he do all the, did he have enough people in there essentially? And was he organized enough? And did he move them through that pipeline in a way that gave him the opportunity to get 6 closes? But if I open that up and his pipeline's a mess and he's got no opportunities, right? At that point, now I'm going to have to start looking at the activities, and that's step 3. And this is where, again, you do not want to start here because this is like, it can feel really not good. But if you've done the hard work of going through the results first, so he's like, oh yeah, I am off. Oh, and my pipeline's a mess. Logically, there's really nowhere else to go. Like it just makes sense to now look, well, okay, Gary, do you mind opening up your calendar and we look at the actual activities you've done to drive the pipeline to be able to hit the results that you want to hit your own goals, but also what the company needs. And now we start getting into the nitty gritty, right? Now, it could be a simple thing of like, dude, I was sick and my 4 kids all had off school and they were running around puking because everyone got sick. Like, who knows what happened, right? But at the end of the day, what's important is we're holding them accountable to the 3 specific areas that the company needs for everyone to win, which is going to be, again, the results they got, the pipeline organization and opportunities created, and then also the activities they're doing to drive and nurture those leads across the line, collect cash, and make an impact in the world. So that's the order that I use in those one-to-ones. So just to recap, guys, the combination of things that I've implemented here with this team, which has gotten us up to 85K cash collected for October here in 2023. We're on track now for 100K this month. This week, we've already kind of blown the doors off through Wednesday. We've gotten 4 sales. And what we're with over 20,000 cash collected, that's just in the first 3 days. What I would say is, you want to make sure that you have daily cadences, right? And in there, you're focusing on the culture, the KPIs, reflections, and projections, okay? But you're allowing the team to have that sort of autonomous viewpoint, meaning they're taking control of their own numbers and the KPIs. Second thing is daily coaching. Have space every day on the calendar to immerse them into the skills, the philosophies, the details that they need to actually execute their job with what's working right now in the marketplace for their specific offer, brand, and audience. The last thing is going to be one-to-one support. Make sure you both bring back the humanity, give them a space, give them the trust and the respect, right? Give them, be a safe space for them to share anything that's kind of going on for them. And then also help hold them accountable to the things that they need and the company needs for everybody to win. The bonus here, I'll say, which I threw in and it seemed to work well, so I'll share with you guys, is what I call gamification. So gamification just kind of makes it fun, right? Like, can we turn this into a game somehow? So one of the things I'll say is if your team has certain things that you know about them or things that are part of your culture that really get people excited, I know for my team here, they just love objection handling. So one of the weeks that we were looking to really, we were hitting our quota, but I wanted us to end higher than quota. I said, if we hit this number, I'm going to give all of you guys a personal one-to-one, objection handling training, that sort of thing. If they go above and beyond, right, and they hit that, they also get an additional compensation bonus, right? So adding things, right, incentivizing your team based on what they actually want, money and knowledge, okay, in this case, but putting it at the end of the carrot and stick of like, we want to hit this even higher goal, usually is what allows them to go ahead and drive and hit those things. And our team did it, okay? So guys, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. That's how we took this company from 40% close to over 50, 350% increase in their cash collected, clients' lives changed, and their sales process working. If you guys have any other questions for me, you can find me on Facebook. I'll drop the link somewhere around this video. And if you are struggling right now with your process, with overcoming objections and not knowing what to say and having low confidence in making your offer because you're just not sure if you're doing it right, I'm your guy. I'm here to help you. You can reach out to me and I offer a free sales audit. And this sales audit, we just walk step by step through your process and I can help you understand what maybe if there are any missing gaps in there that's causing you to lose cash or clients, I can point those out and then send you some free resources, or you can just go through this YouTube channel and find some yourself. All right, but I'd be happy to help you with that if that's something that would serve you. You guys go out, have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.